See you walking down the street. Well, I'm asking you very confidentially, ain't she sweet? Well, ain't that nice? Looking over once or twice. Well, I'm asking you very confidentially, ain't she sweet? Cast an eye in her direction. Pete Best, being the introvert that he is, probably would have had a hell of a time being part of the Beatles. I'm not sure he would have enjoyed Beatlemania. I'm not sure he would have enjoyed the ups and downs of the hectic lifestyle, being in the wake of the rest of the Beatles, and I don't think he would have worked well in a studio environment. And so I can totally sympathise with the idea that being released when he was, although it felt bad at the time, was a good move for him. So what we can see is that success is a relative proposition, and what we see as an observer might not be what the participant is experiencing. Pete Best now plays in a band called the Best of the Beatles. He enjoys playing in smaller venues. He's lauded and appreciated wherever he goes. He seems like a happy guy. He could be living in an alternative universe as an ex-Beatle, but I think if he were, he'd probably be an unhappier guy than he is now. More recently, when the Beatles anthology was released, he finally got some royalty payments from the Beatles' work. So those formative years in Hamburg, of which he was so much a part, in the end, paid him back in spades. And so we have a terrible situation for Pete Best, where he's kicked out of the band on the eve of it becoming the biggest single act in the 20th century. And he spent a good amount of time wallowing, got a job in a bread factory, and probably felt a certain amount of self-pity. However, there is a TED talk with Dan Gilbert, The Secret of Happiness, in which Pete Best describes getting released from the Beatles as he was as one of the best things that ever happened to him. What do you think that is? What young man wouldn't prefer all the fame and adoration that goes with being in the Beatles at the height of Beatlemania? Well, let's look at it realistically. Pete Best was an introvert. One of the reasons he was released from the Beatles is because he wasn't as voluble or outgoing as the other guys. So, as John Lennon described him as a good drummer but a bad Beatle, Pete Best was probably saved a lot of grief and heartache